Boccia is a precision ball game by athletes with severe physical disabilities. It was originally designed to be played by people with cerebral palsy, but now includes athletes with related neurological conditions involving a wheelchair. This sport requires accuracy and muscle control and high amount of focus and concentration. It is developed for people suffering from cerebral palsy and introduced at the New York 1984 Paralympic Games as a competitive sport. Boccia can be played by individuals, pairs, or teams of 3. All events are mixed gender. Individual competitions consist of 4 ends and 6 balls per player per end, while paired competition is 4 ends and 6 balls per pair per end, or 3 per player. Team competition is 6 ends and 6 balls per team per end, or 2 per player. The objective is to get your team's ball closest to the jack or white target ball. Each player is given 6 red or blue balls, and each player takes turn in attempting to land the ball as close as possible to the white target ball and knock the opponent's balls out of the way. After each end, the athlete, pair, or team with the ball closest to the jack receives 1 point plus an additional point for each ball closer to the jack than their opponents. At the end of each end, the referee measures the distance of the balls closest to the jack and awards points accordingly. The team with the highest score gets the win. If both teams have the same number of points after all ends have been played, one additional end is played to determine a winner. Balls can be rolled down a ramp, moved with hands and feet, or, if the competitor's disabilities is severe, with an assistive device such as head pointer. Balls can be used to either stop close to the jack or knock the balls already on the court into more favorable positions. To be eligible and compete in Boccia at national or international levels, athletes must have a disability and be in a wheelchair. A competitive game of Boccia requires players to be divided into 4 classifications depending on their disability and functional ability. All players have impaired functional ability in all 4 limbs. Bc1 classification is players with cerebral palsy who are able to use their hands or feet to consistently propel ball into a play. They may compete with assistant who stays outside of the competitor's playing box to stabilize or adjust their playing chair and give the ball to the player when requested. Bc2 Classifications is players with cerebral palsy who are able to use their hands to consistently propel a ball into play and have greater functional ability than a Bc1 athlete. They are not eligible for assistance. Bc3 Classifications is players with cerebral palsy or other disability with locomotor dysfunction in all 4 limbs. They are unable to throw or kick a ball into a play. They may use an assistive device such as a ramp to deliver the ball. They also can compete with an assistant, but their assistants must keep their back to the court and their eyes averted from the play. Bc4 Classifications is players who do not have cerebral palsy but have another disability with locomotor dysfunction in all 4 limbs and have similar functional ability to Bc2 athletes. Players are not eligible for assistance. In the 11th Asean Para Games 2022, Boccia competition will be held from 31st July to 6 August 2022 at FKORUNS Sports Hall Manahan, Solo. The competition consists of 11 medals. The top seeded in this Asean Para Games Boccia is Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Today, Boccia is played competitively at national and international level by athletes who require a wheelchair because of their disability. Sitting volleyball is originated from the Netherlands. In 1956, the Dutch government created it by combining volleyball and sitsball as a rehabilitation sport for injured soldiers. The fast-paced game made its Olympic debut in the 1980 Paralympic Games at Arnhem, the Netherlands. In general, it is basically the same as volleyball. Some adjustments were made to fit the athlete's needs, such as lower net height and smaller field dimensions. The team are composed of athletes with lower limb impairments. Athletes may be amputees or have loss of muscular strength or flexibility in a joint. An athlete may be classified as minimally disabled or MD and disabled or D. That is why being unable to stand is not a requirement for playing sitting volleyball. Each team is allowed to feature 6 players on court, including a libero, or defensive specialist who will wear a different color shirt to the rest of the team. The court is divided into front and back court. The 3 players along the net are the front row players that can attack or block. The other 3 are back row players, and libero is always on the back court. After the service hit, the players may move around and occupy any position on their court and the free zone. Unlike volleyball, in sitting ball, the opponent may attack or block the serve. The key moves in sitting volleyball are serve, pass, set, spike, block, and dig. The court is divided into 2 sides of 5 meters deep by 6 meters wide. Both teams are separated by net, and each team tries to score points by dropping the ball into the opponent's court. The team has 3 hits for returning the ball, in addition to the block contact. The players must have at least one buttock in contact with the floor during the game, or an extension of the torso in contact with the floor when touching the ball. The ball may touch any part of the body, but the ball must not be caught and/or thrown. It can be rebounded in any direction. Since sitting volleyball was played in a smaller court than volleyball, It needs constant movement and communication between players. The match is played in a best-of-5 set format, and the first to reach 25 points wins the set. The first 4 sets go to 25 points, while a 5th and deciding set goes to 15. In all sets, the margin of victory must be at least 2 points. The team commits a positional fault if any player is not in his or her correct position at the moment the ball hit by the server. When a player is on court through illegal substitution and play restarts, this is counted as positional fault with the consequences of an illegal substitution. All the sitting volleyball participant countries in the 11th Asean Para Games compete from 31st of July until 4 August 2022 in UTP Sports Centers in Solo. The men's competition begins with 2 pools of 3 or 4 teams playing in a round-robin format within each pool, where all the teams will play each other once. The top 2 teams in each pool will qualify for the semi-final phase. The winners of the semi-finals will then play in the gold medal match, while the losing team from the semi-finals will play in the bronze medal match. The women team shall play a double round-robin format in one pool, and the team with the highest accumulated point shall win the gold medal, while the second highest will win the silver medal. Many people like to take a little something to home as a reminder of their travels. In the 11th Asean Para Games 2022, a mini mascot Raja Molo shadow puppet will be one of the official souvenirs.
Pada awal mulanya saya bertemu dengan panitia atas rekomendasi dari Kepala Dinas Koperasi UKM dan Perindustrian Kota Surakarta. Waktu itu kami diikutkan untuk menjadi peserta pameran Asean Para Games yang ada di Stadion Manahan waktu itu. Nah, terus kita saling komunikasi, terus apa yang harus saya persiapkan untuk produk-produk dari kami, terutama wayang yang akan saya pamerkan di pameran Asean Para Games tersebut. Setelah saya memberikan sampel, contoh dan sebagainya, terus akhirnya berkembang mendadak ada souvenir yang harus saya kerjakan dengan tokoh Raja Molo waktu itu sebanyak 2.600 gitu. Nah, akhirnya saya memberikan sampel-sampel dari permintaan panitia, ada 15 sampel, mulai dari bahan kulit, mulai dari bahan kayu, akrilik dan sebagainya. Terus yang disetujui adalah wayang Raja Molo yang tradisional. Jadi bukan maskotnya itu, tetapi wayang Raja Molo yang tradisional gaya Surakarta yang terbuat dari kulit seperti itu, dengan ukuran tinggi wayang adalah 25 cm. Nah, waktu itu pada sekitar tanggal 16 itu baru ACC untuk produknya, yaitu Raja Molo itu dengan memakai dudukan seperti itulah. Baru dari itu kita mulai pembuatan dari tanggal 16 dan selesai tanggal 26 Juli ini. Terus kita proses pengemasan tanggal 28 kita kirim ke panitia seperti itu. Pembuatan wayang kulit semuanya prosesnya sama. Jadi prosesnya sama seperti ini. Mulai dari bahan baku, ya kan? Mulai dari bahan baku ini yang ukuran kecil 15 cm. Dari mulai bahan baku yaitu kulit. Kulit ini kita pilih, setelah kita pilih kita desain. Desainnya pun juga satu-satu. Kita desain, setelah kita desain selesai baru proses tatahan atau ditatah atau dipahat. Setelah dipahat selesai, terus proses selanjutnya adalah pewarnaan atau sunggingan. Setelah sunggingan selesai baru pengemasan memakai gapetnya ini, memakai tangke ini namanya tuding, terus ini namanya gapet. Terus baru kita proses pakai dudukan ini atau tataan ini. Seperti prosesnya sama seperti pembuatan wayang yang standar pedalangan. Ukuran yang 25 cm itu kita bagi dengan tim IKM Sanggar Wagogon itu ada 6 tim. 6 tim yang kita mulai pembagian, misalnya satu tim harus mengerjakan berapa item atau wayang Rajamala. Dalam satu tim itu terdapat ada 15 sampai 20 orang seperti itu. Jadi prosesnya kita per hari itu harus bisa memproduksi berapa wayang, itu sudah ada jadwalnya. Sampai tanggal 26 Juli kemarin semua 2.600 kita sudah tercover dengan cara seperti itu. Jadi setiap satu tim ada 15 sampai 20 orang, itu pengerjaannya ada yang natah, ada yang nyungging, ada yang nyungging pun ada dibagi juga, ada yang mewarnai hitam, ada yang mewarnai merah, ada yang mewarnai emas dan sebagainya. Itu ada dibagi-bagi, jadi bisa gerak cepat seperti dari tekniknya seperti itu. Kalau di dunia pedalangan atau di dunia pewayangan berbeda. Di Kota Solo punya ikon juga Rajamala, itu adalah sejarahnya. Di Solo itu ada sebuah kapal yang kepalanya itu kepala Rajamala dan terlihat bagus seperti itu.
Media Center plays a very important role in distributing information needed to the public. That is why International Broadcast Center or IBC for the 11th Asean Para Games 2022 was built. Located around the area of Stadion Manahan, Solo, Indonesia, IBC is a temporary hub for television and radio broadcaster during the major sport events. It provides the production of broadcast signals of the matches and other activities, along with spaces for the editorial staff, production, and archives.
Sebetulnya ini persiapannya memang gila ya. Maksudnya waktu Asian Games kita udah 2 tahun sebelumnya, dan waktu Asean Para Games juga udah 1 tahun sebelumnya. Ini dia cuma 2 bulan sebelumnya. Jadi dan ini juga ini baru jadi nih IBC-nya gitu ya, International Broadcast Center. Ini karena kita memang mini IBC ya, mini IBC. Jadi sebetulnya bisa 5 negara itu atau 5 RHB ya, kita sebut RHB, Right Holder Broadcast, itu bisa 5. Iya, sebetulnya itu kita sudah itu kita udah persiapkan. Cuma memang pas kebetulan itu ada Commonwealth Game yang lebih menarik ya. Jadi kayak Malaysia, Singapura itu banyakkan konsentrasi di sana ya. Tapi mereka sih kayaknya sudah ngambil feed aja dari kita. Jadi kita kasih feed lewat satelit atau lewat streaming, kasih ke mereka siaran di negaranya masing-masing. Ya, sekarang yang utama adalah CDT atau Central Distribution, Contribution dan Transmission gitu. Jadi semuanya sinyal dari venue itu ketemu di sini, kemudian kita siarkan lewat satelit dan lewat streaming gitu. Itu ada yang ruangan utamanya, kemudian yang lain-lain itu adalah ruang server ada, ruang MCR ada, dan ruang RHB ya. Di sini yang sekarang yang sudah masuk adalah MNC, TVRI, dan Thailand.
For the operation crew down here in the IBC and the venue, I have around 12 people, but the rest of that, we have another 20, I mean, from the office of the Sport Authority of Thailand also join us here. So altogether, it's more than 30 people. What we are doing is that we also, first of all, I have to thank the whole broadcaster that you kindly give us all the signals, the working space, all the facility. So what we do is that we bring the signal that the whole broadcaster would produce and send it back to Thailand. We can send four events at the same time to get them sent back to Thailand. And our operation team down back in Thailand, we will combine it and come up with the daily programs. So we broadcast at least 4 hours per day on our terrestrial channel, T-Sport 7. I have to thank the government of the Republic of Indonesia that you host the game on behalf. Normally Vietnam should host the game, right? But this time the Indonesian government host the game. I think this thing, make the disabled people, most of the para athletes, they feel that they're not left behind. So thank you so much for the Indonesian that you host. And I take a look at the atmosphere of the preparation in Novo. It seemed like the SEA Games. It not mean that it is very small game. And this is the first time in the history of the Asean Para Games that you cover live more than among 14, right? So this is the first record in the history that the host broadcaster and the host country cover live more than 10 sports in Para Games.